Hello and welcome to the Algorand Proof of Stake Show, a show by algo devs for algo devs. Here we explore the current state of the Algorand ecosystem by focusing in on interesting projects building out our decentralized future. I'm your host, Ryan Fox, developer advocate at Algorand. Today my guest is Sam Sramko, co-founder and chief technical officer at Tatum. Tatum Framework is empowering Web3 developers to build the apps of their dreams, claiming to be the fastest way to build, test, and run blockchain apps by offering the most flexible platform for developers to turn their blockchain ideas into reality. Just last month, Tatum closed their Series A, raising over $41 million, led by Evolution Equity Partners. Tatum provides a soup-to-nuts development environment framework, including blockchain APIs, a key management system, command line tools, SDKs in multiple languages, and even an NFT WordPress plugin to mint and sell NFTs directly from your WooCommerce store. Tatum connects to over 40 blockchains, with Algorand right there at the top of the list. We've got a lot to unpack here with Sam Sramko. Welcome to the Algorand Proof of Stake Show.
Thank you, Ryan. Hi, guys. It's great to be here.
Yes, it is wonderful to have you here. So, Sam, you have really built out quite a compelling product in Tatum, and I'm interested to hear you tell our algo devs why you built it and how it came to be.
It's actually a very funny story, because at the beginning, like a couple of years ago, when we were discussing my co-founder what we want to do, we wanted to do a crypto bank, and we actually did that back then in 2017. But it turns out that, like, when we're integrating a lot of chains for the bank, because obviously you need to have a lot of chains integrated, the engine inside we created for that fast integration of the chains was much more sexy than the bank itself. So we just decided to get rid of the front end and let's focus on the back end. And actually we realized that this could be a great thing for anyone out there, especially for developers who don't know how to build on blockchain, who don't know how to integrate different chains. If they are, I don't know, Web3 guys on EVM chains, but they want to support Algorand or Solana, they don't know how to do it, and they need to learn it from scratch. That's actually where we saw the value back then, that the framework itself could help those people to onboard to the blockchain much quicker, much easier, with like fraction of the cost.
Yeah, that's great. And I've seen the Tatum.io website talk a lot about fastest and easiest ways to develop decentralized applications. Algorand on our dev portal, we say similar things, right? But tell us, what are the components within the Tatum framework that enable this rapid application development?
Basically, as any framework out there, you need to let your developers do anything they want. And if you, as a framework, don't support it out of the box, you can't like force developers not to do it by themselves. And the same applies to blockchain, because blockchain generally is just a bunch of the RPC nodes. On top of it, you can integrate or create anything you want. So our framework, as any other framework out there, we need to offer you the low-level integration, which in our case is the RPC stuff. And then we build a lot of components on top of the RPC, which developers must build by themselves. Like, for example, if you want to send notifications or it's like scan through the blockchain and events and what's happening, we have it on one API call. It's done. And for 99% of use cases, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's just out there. Grab it, use it, reuse it on next blockchain. Otherwise, you just need to like build it by yourself, and you're going to spend months on it.
Right. And you've got the SDKs built into this framework as well to help ease the developers in and help them actually succeed in writing that. Could you tell us a little bit about how that fits into the framework and how that enables the developers to then build out those smart contracts and so on.
Yeah. Especially like in a blockchain space, the security is the key, right? You don't want to expose the private keys. You don't want to generate wallets. in a way that it's exposed to the public. So you don't want to send API call somewhere, hey, please generate a wallet and to return you
Right.
the private key, right? This is the thing you don't want to do, and it's not good. That's why we created the
Right.
SDKs where all these operations, which are, let's say, secure from the, let's say, from the blockchain perspective. So any wallet generation or transaction signing, all these operations are done locally in the SDK, and the rest of the, let's say, components which must communicate with the API just communicate with the API. But if there is
Okay.
privacy there, it will just stay inside your SDK in your, I don't know, backend, front end system, whatever.
Right. Okay. Because you've got a key management service as well as within that framework to really ensure that those private keys aren't being leaked and still provide that connectivity to your application.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can build different types of applications. You can like like by nature you can create really non-custodial app where every of your end user will own their private key in their wallet, even in mobile or browser or any other way. But then there is a lot of projects who actually want to build custodial systems, right? And they want
Hmm.
to be a custodian and want to easy onboarding of of these like custodial users to the platform. So in terms of Dobra, I have a son here. So in
That's
terms of
wonderful.
yeah, so in terms of like creating the whole custodial solution from scratch, which is extremely complex, it's hard to maintain. It's like you have a lot of bugs there. We just give you the already made solution, which is a KMS, which you can spin up in our system. It's secure, it's there, and you can build. It's another like example of how these things could be bootstrapped in terms of time to market.
Right. So I know we're going to see a little bit about how to use Tatum to build on Algorand, and I know that you have over 40 blockchains that you have also partnered with. So is part of what this story is all about is really being able to connect multiple blockchains together, building these applications that can talk across multiple blockchains.
Yeah, like that's we actually see that already for at least 12 or 18 months. Every
Hmm.
new project want to build something is built across the chains. It's like there is very few projects who are one chain only and they rely on one blockchain because it's a security risk actually. Because
Hmm.
if something happened on the chain, your whole business will stop operating. And it could be whatever. It could be a hack. It could be an error in a validator. It could be like outage of the nodes itself. You just like must count these risks into building your project. That's why we support 40, 60, 80 blockchain. We're going to support more in the future because we want to give developers the choice to bring any blockchain they want into their apps and actually be much safer because if something is down, they have 4 or 5 different blockchains they can build on.
No downtime here at Algorand. I know that isn't true elsewhere in this ecosystem. But anyway, enough about that. Tell us about the onboarding process. Like, how do the algo devs start using Tatum?
Okay, maybe we can just move to the demo and then the onboarding is actually part of that. So
We
we can
love demos. Let's do it.
let's do the demo. Okay. So as we mentioned at the beginning, Tatum.io is the framework we are talking about together, and Tatum.io is our landing page. So any developer who wanna start using our platform must create an API key in our dashboard, and then we are basically an RPC API service. So every API call they're gonna call to our platform, they will see in the dashboard, and everything will be connected to the API key they are using. So here, when people want to start building on Algorand or on any other blockchain, Algorand is one of them using our platform. The Tatum.io is the best place to start with. We have the bunch of resources available, which is from the documentation and some guides available for you, where we are trying to explain what to do, how to do some things, and there is some, let's say, more readable documentation in terms of some features I'm going to show, for example, today. to the, let's say, API reference of all the operations and features we actually support on every blockchain we have. So as I said before, we have a couple of different, let's say, levels of integration in the framework. And the most, let's say, native one is the RPC node, where you just have a URL, there is an RPC node, and you're going to fire the request. On top of it, you can build some abstraction, for example, for Algorand. You can perform transactions, read some data, mint NFTs, etc., 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 etc. So the best thing to onboard is actually start for free, which will redirect you to our dashboard, where you can create an API key. I'm going to click my account, and you can create as many API keys as you want. By default, to all developers, we offer 2 free API keys, one for mainnet, one for testnet. These API keys are valid for communicate with all the blockchains out there. So it's not only for Algorand. You can reuse the same API key for Solana, Ethereum, Polygon, etc., etc., etc. So this API key actually you can show here. It's just a bunch of random symbols, and you will use this API key in all API calls you're gonna invoke against our platform. When we are actually when you are onboarding, when the developers they have an account that they can perform something, usually the best thing how to, let's say, bootstrap or play around or prototype is to do something, to actually build something small, to create some application. Some of you may know what you are building. I don't know, it could be an NFT marketplace, it could be some aggregator of some trades on DeFi protocols. It's really up to you. But for some people, they just want to experiment with the API, see if they can do something. And for that, for me especially, it's the best tool, Postman, where I can create all the API integrations and see the flow of the calls I am performing. So the part of today's workshop is actually show you a couple of the API calls, some of the super flow of working with NFTs on Algorand, and to show you basically how the integration look like, how it feels, and what's the idea behind our framework. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we offer RPC nodes because it's a must for us. We are a framework. We don't want to lock you on something we don't provide. So everyone could actually communicate with either the AlgoD RPC node or with the indexer. We run both of these on our side, multiple instances in multiple regions. So we are, let's say, quite backed up in terms of performance, in terms of the outages or updates. So if you actually want to communicate with the, for example, with the AlgoD, and you want to know what's the details about some specific account, you are using the same RPC operations you would use on any other node. The difference is only the URL you are calling, which on our side is API, the Tatum.io/blockchain/algo, whatever you want. It's just the pure RPC stuff. As I said, if you want to work with the indexer, you just change the node type to indexer, and you can actually see some data from the indexer. Again, all the API calls which are available on the indexer or AlgoD are invocable. So you can work it, you can use it, you can copy paste the node URL to your existing application if you don't want to run the node by yourself, or you just try to find more throughput or better price. It's really up to you. The node is there, it's working, everything is supported. So this is basically the first, let's say, the low-level integration, where you usually have the application, it's running, it's built on top of the RPC stuff, and you're just trying to figure out what's the best way to I don't know, mitigate the risk or cost or anything. But for some new people, for people who don't know the Algorand itself or blockchain itself, we have the abstraction piece of the framework. And this is actually where things start to be funny, because when we are building this abstraction and the framework, we are trying to build it for developers. So When we are talking about the RPC stuff, for example, you can see a bunch of crazy fields. Usually people don't understand at the first glance and they don't know where to start, how to connect those pieces together. On the other side, when we are building this abstraction, we are trying to name the methods and the field in a way that you can understand. Even if you're, for example, a Web2 developer who is onboarding to Web3 because in your company you're building a new Web3 project and you need to start doing something, and you are used to some, I don't know, naming conventions, for example, account, transaction, whatever, and it's not signature or hex or I don't know, base whatever stuff. We're trying to be as, let's say, friendly as possible. So the flow I'm going to show you today, it's pretty simple. As I said, I want to work with in an NFT field, and I'm going to create a new wallet for Algorand. I'm going to create or mint new NFT, and then I'm going to transfer that NFT from one address to another address. I'm going to read some information about those NFT. What's the details? What's the metadata? What's the balance? That, let's say, I don't know, 6 or 7 operations I'm going to perform today. If you want to be if you should like build it from scratch on your end, you would have to understand how the blockchain works, what's the consequences, etc. On our side, we are trying to be as blockchain agnostic as possible. So when we want to generate a new wallet on a specific blockchain, we can just create a new wallet. Yes, this is call to the API. That's why SDKs are much safer because they're not sending the private keys across the internet. But right now, for our demo purposes, it's just fine. So we have created new wallet, new address, new private key. And the same will work for, I don't know, for Solana, or the same could work for Bitcoin, for example, or the same could work for Polygon, which means you don't have to understand how these things work in different chains. You just need to understand what you want to do, and you want to create a wallet. Once we created the wallet, you want to mint an NFT to that wallet. So for example, we're building some small, I don't know, application where every time your user signs up, you want to create the wallet and you want to send him NFT, I don't know, some membership NFT easily. So your use case is create the wallet on sign up and mint NFT to that wallet. So once we have the wallet, we can mint the NFT. And again, this is using our abstraction framework inside Tatum, where we're going to actually say, yes, we are minting NFTs on blockchain Algorand with some name, URL of the metadata, and the private key of the minter. The same or almost the same setup would be applicable, for example, for Solana or for Ethereum or for, I don't know, Polygon. That's what I'm trying to explain, that you don't have to be a blockchain expert. You don't have to understand how things works on the background, because we are using framework which should be responsible for that. It's the same as, I don't know, in the database field. 20 years ago, everyone was coding SQLs directly to the database or writing procedures. Right now, everyone is using some kind of ORM, Hibernate or Type ORM or anything out there. Almost no one is actually invoking direct SQLs to the database. Only for some very niche use cases where you really need to create a procedure, but usually you are expert and you know what you're doing. 99% of people can perform select from where easily using some framework which is responsible for that. And the blockchain is exactly the same. You just don't want to build something on RPC stuff. You want to use the framework and you don't care what's happening down there. You know it's working and it's fine. So getting back to the NFT stuff, we can mint the NFT on the Algorand, and the result is the transaction ID and the identifier of the asset we have minted on Algorand. What we can do, we can then, I don't know, get the details of the NFT. We receive the transaction ID, and we want to know what's the identifier of the NFT which was created in this transaction. Basically, we want to know the contract address. For some reason, we have lost that. So when we just hit the get transaction, we receive the identifier of the created NFT in the past. What we can do on top of it, we can, for example, read the metadata of that specific NFT. And we can see that we have created some NFT with this metadata. All of these operations are actually like proxying the internal implementation of these things, because the same as you are calling get metadata for Algorand, again, you can do the same for Solana or for Ethereum or for any other chain which we support for NFTs in this feature. We have minted NFTs, we have created the wallets. Your user in your application want to see what's the balance, what he actually owns, what kind of assets he owns on his address. So obviously there should be an operation. I want to know what's the balance on my address, what assets I have, what's the details. So obviously there is an account balance operation where you can enter the account and you will see what kind of assets you have, how much, etc., etc. Obviously I have quite a big account here, so I have a lot of NFTs minted already on this, but that's perfect. On the other side, if you want something more, let's say, niche, and this is, let's say, more complex feature we have created, is you know that you have NFTs on your address, you want to see all of those NFTs in your address, and you want to see the metadata which are attached to your NFTs. So if you're building something, I don't know, NFT marketplace, for example, and there is a new user who is just gonna link his wallet into your application, first thing you want to do, you want to see what he owns, and you want to show it to the community. You want to show it to the marketplace users. So you're going to call get balance to see how much assets and with which metadata the user owns. So again, very simple NFT balance on Algorand for a specific address, and you can see, hey, this is the NFT you own. You actually own one because it's NFT. You can have multi tokens or semi-fungible tokens where you can have more like editions of the same contract, and this is the metadata for the specific NFT. You can see that I have minted a lot of stuff with the same stupid URL, but actually this is the case. You can do this in one operation, in one API call as just one feature. You don't have to like go to the node or to the blockchain, read through that like nasty documentation of the RPC calls and try to understand or guess how to connect those things together. Yes, you can. It will take, I don't know, week and a half, but you need to do, I don't know, 10 features like this instead of one. So instead of week and a half, you're going to spend, I don't know, 3 or 4 months with just getting to know the blockchain and try to connect the dots together. And then after the 3 months, you finally made it. It's cool. And then your boss will come and he said, hey, you know what? I won't do it on Algorand. I'm going to do it on Solana. And you're going to start from scratch. You're going to throw away everything you've done, everything you've read, and you're going to start from scratch. And you're going to do it all over again. So another 3 months are passed. Okay, 6 months of development. I don't think the product could wait 6 months from the idea till the launch date, especially not in a blockchain space where everything is super fast. Everyone is trying to bootstrap as fast as possible. You need to deliver some content or product or feature in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks time, and you need to test the market, you need to validate, you need to rebuild, you need to improve. You don't have time and luxury to build something for 6 months. You need to do it in 2 weeks. So it's super easy to just, I don't know, prototype something on Algorand with our framework. You can see it's doing, you can deliver something in a week or two, you can go live to production. And then after a month, the product, the guy will come, hey, it's cool, let's keep Algorand because we already have that. Why wouldn't we close it? Let's add Solana, let's add something else. You said, hey, okay, for me, like a week of work because I just changed Algo to Sol and it's done. So we can do it super fast. We can test the market. We can deliver something to our customers. We can deliver value. And that's actually what matters. It's about delivering value to your customers instead of like coding 6 months. Even though it's fun, I'm a developer, it's fun to code, it's fun to explore new things, right? But sometimes you just need to find the balance between the fun and usability and someone who's actually paying for that fun. And it would be great if we can find the balance and we can reuse as much things as possible. So that's all for me for the demo, guys, and we can maybe stop sharing.
Yeah. All right. Well, wonderful, Sam, to see how easy and fast it can be, really, to just use the Tatum framework to be able to put together an application in not too long of time. Thank you. Well, tell us, how do we connect with you and how do we connect with the Tatum team in order to get started?
Yep, the best thing how to reach out to us is joining our Discord channel where we're having the community of developers and builders. We're trying to help them. We're trying to be there for them. I'm not saying 24/7, but as soon as possible, trying to answer, because there is tremendous amount of people building. Everyone is asking for advice and things how they should do. So the best thing is to join our Discord, or they can contact me on LinkedIn or Twitter. There's so many channels and so many options. But for the devs itself, the best is the Discord channel.
All right, good. And do you have an easy to remember Discord URL for the folks?
Oh yeah, discord.gg/Tatum. Super simple.
Nice, very easy. Of course, right. And if we want to follow you on Twitter, we see you. We see you first name, last name, Sam Sramko, and then for Tatum, how do we follow you for Tatum?
Yeah, I believe it's a Tatum.io. We can share the links later on.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, Sam Sramko, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Algorand Proof of Stake Show and introducing us to Tatum and the Tatum framework. So until next time, Algo Devs, I hope you have fun building on Algorand.